Ashurbanipal. From the sun-scorched plains of Mesopotamia to the grand palaces of Nineveh, one man carved his name into the annals of history. Ashurbanipal, the last great king of Assyria, built an empire of war and wisdom. But behind the triumphs lies a story of brilliance, brutality, and a library that changed the world forever. Born around 685 BCE, in an age of conquest and chaos, Ashurbanipal ruled the mighty Assyrian Empire from approximately 669 to 631 BCE. Known as the Scholar King, he was not just a warrior, but a collector of knowledge, creating the world's first systematically organized library in Nineveh. Ashurbanipal mattered because he preserved the wisdom of the ancient world, while his reign marked the zenith and the beginning of the end for one of history's greatest empires. Ashurbanipal was born around 685 BCE in Nineveh, the heart of the Assyrian Empire, to King Esarhaddon and his queen, Ashurbanipal. As a younger son in a royal family of immense wealth and influence, he was not initially destined for the throne. His father's court was a hub of power, surrounded by priests, scribes, and warriors, but also rife with intrigue and rebellion. A key childhood event was the assassination attempt on his father in 681 BCE, which shaped Ashurbanipal's understanding of loyalty and betrayal. Ashurbanipal, unlike typical Assyrian kings, was a scholar at heart. Tutored in Nineveh's royal court, he mastered cuneiform, mathematics, and ancient texts, mentored by top scribes and his father, Esarhaddon. His fascination with Mesopotamia's archives and Babylonian culture ignited a passion for knowledge, rare for a warrior prince. His knack for debating scholars and studying omens hinted at his future greatness, paving the way for his legendary Library of Nineveh. Ashurbanipal's rise was a battle against fierce odds. As a younger son, he clashed with his brother Shamash-shum-ukin, Babylon's king, over the Assyrian throne after their father Esarhaddon's death in 669 BCE. Rival factions and rebellious subjects, Egyptians, Elamites, and Babylonians, challenged his rule, despising Assyrian control. Early campaigns like crushing Egyptian revolts tested his cunning, while internal betrayals threatened to unravel his empire. Through shrewd diplomacy, loyal appointees, and brutal military might, Ashurbanipal prevailed, blending intellect with iron resolve. Emotional beat. A young king, betrayed by his own kin, fights to forge an empire from chaos. The pivotal moment in Ashurbanipal's life came in 668 BCE, when he launched a campaign to collect texts from across Mesopotamia, creating the Great Library of Nineveh. This decision transformed him from a warrior king into a patron of knowledge, ordering scribes to copy and gather tablets on everything from astronomy to mythology. This library, housing over 30,000 clay tablets, became his lasting legacy and a symbol of his vision to preserve human wisdom, setting him apart from his predecessors and ensuring his name endured beyond his conquests. Ashurbanipal's reign was a golden age for Assyria. His military triumphs included crushing the Elamite kingdom in 647 BCE, sacking their capital, Susa, and bringing vast wealth to Nineveh. He subdued rebellions in Egypt and Babylon, notably defeating his brother Shamash-shum-ukin in 648 BCE after a bitter civil war. His Library of Nineveh became a cultural marvel, preserving works like the Epic of Gilgamesh. Public reaction, recorded in royal inscriptions, hailed him as a divine ruler, while his brutal reliefs depicting lion hunts and battles awed and terrified subjects. Chroniclers of the time praised his wisdom, but feared his wrath, cementing his reputation as a scholar warrior. The roar of victory as Ashurbanipal's armies triumphed, matched by the quiet pride of his growing library. Ashurbanipal's reign was not without enemies and moral dilemmas. His brother Shamash-shum-ukin's rebellion in Babylon was a personal and political betrayal, forcing Ashurbanipal to besiege his own kin, leading to Shamash's death in a fire. His brutal campaigns, like the destruction of Elam, were criticized for excessive cruelty, with reliefs showing impaled captives. Political rivals in vassal states, like Egypt's pharaohs, constantly challenged his authority. A moral dilemma arose in balancing his scholarly pursuits with the need for ruthless governance. Could a king of war also be a guardian of wisdom? Mistakes, like overextending Assyrian resources, strained the empire's stability, foreshadowing its decline. 8th King of the Assyrian Empire, 669-631 BCE, Ashurbanipal oversaw brutal military campaigns that likely resulted in significant loss of life. His major wars included the suppression of rebellions in Egypt, the destruction of the Elamite kingdom, and the civil war against his brother shamash-shum-ukin in Babylon. Assyrian warfare was notoriously ruthless, involving mass executions, deportations, and the destruction of entire cities. For example, the sacking of Susa in 647 BCE and the siege of Babylon in 648 BCE likely led to tens of thousands of deaths, including combatants and civilians, as Assyrian reliefs depict executions and impalements. While no definitive total exists, historians estimate that his campaigns could have caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands across his reign, factoring in battles, massacres, and forced migrations. Ashurbanipal's death, around 631 BCE, is shrouded in mystery. Some sources suggest illness, others abdication or assassination. Likely in his 50s, his passing triggered succession disputes among his sons. The public response was mixed. Loyalists mourned the scholar king, while subjugated peoples rejoiced. The empire began to unravel soon after, with Nineveh falling in 612 BCE. Emotional beat, the fading of a king who held knowledge and power, only to see his empire teeter on the edge. Ashurbanipal's life shaped history through his dual legacy of conquest and culture. His library of Nineveh preserved Mesopotamian knowledge, rediscovered in the 19th century, offering modern scholars insights into ancient literature, science, and religion. His military campaigns weakened rival powers but overextended Assyria, hastening its collapse. Memorials include his palace reliefs, now in museums like the British Museum, and references in books like The Epic of Gilgamesh. His story inspires modern reflections on the balance of power and intellect, with his library symbolizing the enduring value of knowledge. In popular culture, he appears in documentaries and historical novels, a king who wielded both sword and stylus. Legends are forged not just in battle, but in the quiet moments of creation. Ashurbanipal, the Scholar King, built an empire of stone and clay tablets, leaving a legacy that outlasted his throne. As we ponder his story, ask yourself, in a world of fleeting power, what will you preserve for the ages? The last great king of Assyria reminds us that true greatness lies in what we leave behind.